Hello, Bobby Torres of Frightbox recording here, and welcome to Critiquing Subscriber Mixes, episode 27. So before we dive into this group of mixes submitted by my loyal subscribers, I just want to let you know that if you're truly looking to improve the sound of your mixes and productions, I don't care if you're using an analog console, analog tape, outboard gear, a DAW with stock plugins, overpriced expensive plugins, it doesn't matter. What does matter is how well you understand basic fundamental EQ and compression. And because of this, I'm offering you direct access right now for absolutely free to my crisp and clear heavy mix formula. The heavy mix formula is comprised of three primary components: a mixing cheat sheet that contains all of my EQ and compression starting points whenever I start a mix. Within the PDF guide, there are clickable links to private mixing tutorials where I break down all of the main components for all of the main instruments within a heavy production, and each private tutorial comes with a multi-track download so you can have access to the exact same raw multi-track that I'm using in the lesson. Again, the crisp and clear heavy mix formula is absolutely free right now. You get direct access by clicking the link below in this video's description. So without any further ado, let's jump into this group of mixes submitted by subscribers. And our first mix here comes from Dormant. Okay, well, Dormant, a few notes here. I like what I'm hearing. Dig the guitar tone, dig the songwriting in general. A lot of low end in this mix. A lot of low end, too much low end. So you might want to scoop out some of the lows on your drum bus, and your bass guitar sounding overly subby, at least upon first listen. Also, your snare drum is really, really loud, and your mix is clipped, and I hear a lot of top end on your vocal. Now, this might sound like a lot of critiquing, but it's actually not. These are very, very subtle tweaks that you could apply to your mix that I think are going to make a world of difference. The overall balance sounds great. Again, the fundamental tones sound awesome. Just give these few tweaks a shot. I think you're going to notice a huge difference in your production. And again, your mix does not have to be this loud. I think you could back up on the limiting ever so slightly, and your mix is going to be just as powerful. So again, keep me posted on your future productions. Okay, our next mix here comes from JC. Okay, JC, I love what I'm hearing. The overall production sounds absolutely killer, super professional. I even hear some nice saturation going on, nice analog color. My only notes are very simple. I noticed that your snare drum is super duper hard hitting even during the faster sections. And if you're using programmed drums or a drum sample, we have to remember that human beings, when they're playing drum sets, do not hit their snare drum at the exact same intensity during faster sections of music. So you might want to just take the dynamics down ever so slightly during the faster sections for a more realistic sound. And also, I hear a lot of mid-range on the bass. I could tell it's probably programmed bass. So to hide that a little, just take that mid-range saturation and just bring it down ever so slightly. I had no idea it was programmed bass until the notes got a little busier and it was popping out to my ear and was overly obvious to me. So if you want to hide the fact that the bass is programmed, just take that mid-range saturation and bury it ever so slightly. That's a trick that I use to help hide the fact when I'm using programmed bass. But overall, man, this production sounds absolutely killer, and you have a ton of talent as a mixer. So I'm excited to hear your future work and keep you posted on your future productions. Okay, our next mix here comes from Mike. Okay, I love what I'm hearing, Mike. One thing I want to point out here is Mike's mix is nice and loud, but it's not squash sounding. So Mike, whatever you're doing for your mastering or your master bus chain, keep doing it. You're doing a great job. I'm impressed with the volume and also the warmth of the mix and the fact that it's not distorted. Now, you mentioned in your email that you're having issues with your toms, and to me, everything sounds great. It just comes out to low-end management. And what I like to do in a situation where toms are overly kind of low-endy and ringing out like that is I keep it simple. I create a toms submix in my mix. So all of my toms are going through one submix. Like I said, not a drum submix, but a pre-drum submix that's just for my toms. And I'll do something simple, like I'll take a low shell filter and I'll reduce all frequencies below, let's say 100 hertz, just so the overall character of my tom tracks remains the same. And I'm just reducing the low end or the unnecessary buildup of low end. So my toms sound the same, but they're just less low endy. And from what I've heard in your mix, that's the only thing these toms really need. I think the overall mix sounds great. Drums sound great. Guitars sound killer. Everything sounds nice and tight. So yeah, give it a shot. Let me know how that works out for you and keep me posted on your future work. And thanks for your submission. Okay, our final mix here comes from Mr. Vincent. Let's see what we got. Okay, Vincent, I dig the dark vibe of your music here. Super evil sounding. I like the low-tuned guitars. Now, you mentioned in your email that you're having a struggle with your mix sounding muddy, and I have two simple suggestions for you that are gonna really help demudify your mix. The first thing is, it sounds like to me that your guitars are not hard panned. Now, I could be wrong about this. If they're not panned inward, then you have some form of stereo widening happening that's actually making your mix slightly narrower and panned in. So if you are using stereo wideners, just take it off your mix. You don't need it. And just hard pan your guitars and get your mix width from the mix itself. And again, if your guitars are panned in, you do not have to worry about hard panning your guitars. People freak out about this because when they flip their mix into mono, their guitars will disappear. Give that a shot with even professional mixes, and you're gonna hear it all over professionally recorded and mixed albums. Don't worry about it. It's a non-issue. Just get your guitars sounding nice and wide and hard pan them and you'll be good there. And also, super simple, your guitars are way too loud in comparison to the drums. So this alone will give you the effect of a muddy mix. Now, if you're a guitar player, which I'm assuming you are, I'm a guitar player, it's so tempting to make our guitars screaming loud. But remember, this is a band. You have drums, bass, guitars, and maybe vocals eventually. You do not want your guitars to be overpowering. It's going to make your mix sound muddy, especially if that snare drum is buried. So take your guitars and knock them way down, and that's going to give you more headroom so you can bring your average level of your mix up, and then you have an overall more punchy mix in general. So Vincent, give this a shot and let me know how it works out for you. So I would just like to shout out and thank everyone for submitting this excellent group of mixes. And if you're interested in submitting a mix to the channel for a review, there are detailed instructions in this video's description. And again, if you're looking to improve the sound of your mixes and your productions for real, you can have direct access to my crisp and clear heavy mix formula. You get an EQ and compression mixing cheat sheet, private tutorials, and a multi-track download that accompanies each tutorial so you could practice mixing along with me. The crisp and clear heavy mix formula is free for right now, and you can have direct access by clicking the link below in this video's description. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to click the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. If you're interested in some Frightbox Buy, I've got t-shirts, mugs, and a ton of other cool stuff on the way. There's a link below to the Frightbox merch store in this video's description. Until next time, happy mixing.